A high-value woman does not raise her voice to be heard. She does not chase attention, explain herself endlessly, or compete for validation. Her power is quiet, rooted, and unmistakable. When she speaks to a man, her words carry weight not because they are loud or dramatic, but because they are precise, grounded, and aligned with who she is. She understands that communication is not about impressing, pleasing, or proving worth. It is about revealing standards through presence. Most people think confidence is something you say. In reality, confidence is something you embody. A high-value woman speaks from inner order. Her tone is calm because her mind is calm. Her posture is steady because her life is disciplined. She does not rush her words because she is not afraid of silence. Silence for her is not awkward. It is a tool. When she pauses, it creates space. And in that space, people reveal themselves. She does not over-explain. Over-explaining is often a sign of self-doubt. When someone trusts their own position, they do not feel the need to justify it excessively. A high-value woman says what needs to be said clearly and simply. If a boundary is crossed, she names it without emotion. If something does not align with her values, she states it without anger. She understands that respect is not demanded through force, but established through consistency. When she talks to a man, she is not performing femininity, nor is she suppressing it. She is natural. She listens fully, not to agree, but to understand. Listen. Ing is one of her strongest psychological tools. While others wait for their turn to speak, she observes tone, pauses, and patterns. She notices what is said and what is avoided. This awareness allows her to respond, not react. She asks questions that reveal character, not interrogating, not testing, but clarifying. Her questions are calm mirrors. They invite honesty. And if honesty is not present, she does not argue, she simply notes it. A high-value woman does not try to convince a man of her worth. She allows him to experience it through her presence, her boundaries, and her life. She does not communicate from fear of loss. Fear makes people negotiate their standards. It makes them tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, and emotional chaos. A high-value woman has already made peace with being alone rather than being misaligned. Because of this, her communication is free. She does not manipulate, threaten, or guilt. She states her needs and observes the response. The response tells her everything. When something bothers her, she does not suppress it, but she also does not explode. Emotional discipline is key. She understands that uncontrolled emotion weakens communication. So she regulates herself first. She speaks when she is centered. Her words are firm but respectful. This combination is rare, and it commands attention. She does not use excessive words to soften the truth. She does not hide behind jokes when something matters. When she says yes, it is a real yes. When she says no, it is final. There is no confusion in her language. Ambiguity often comes from people who are unsure of themselves. Clarity comes from self-respect. A high-value woman does not argue to win. She communicates to be understood. If understanding is not possible, she withdraws her energy, not as punishment, but as alignment. She knows that her time, attention, and emotional availability are valuable resources. She invests them where there is reciprocity. She is not impressed by surface confidence, loud claims, or empty charm. And because she is not impressed, she does not adjust her speech to accommodate ego. She remains steady. This steadiness often unsettles insecure men because it cannot be controlled or rushed. Psychological strength is felt most strongly in calm presence. She also knows when not to speak. Not every comment deserves a response. Not every provocation needs engagement. Silence, used consciously, reveals more than confrontation. When she chooses silence, it is not avoidance. It is discernment. She does not waste energy explaining herself to someone who has already decided not to understand. Her communication reflects her inner standards. She does not threaten to leave. She does not beg to be chosen. She behaves in a way that makes it clear that access to her life is earned through consistency, respect, and integrity. Men who are grounded recognize this immediately. Men who are not feel challenged by it. She compliments sincerely without flattery. She appreciates effort, not potential. She responds to actions more than words. This is a powerful psychological position. It trains others how to treat her without her having to teach them explicitly. A high-value woman does not speak from bitterness about past experiences. She has processed her past. She does not project old wounds onto new interactions. This emotional cleanliness makes her communication clear and present. There is no hidden agenda, no emotional debt. She does not try to be mysterious by withholding everything, nor does she overshare to create closeness. She reveals hers. LF, gradually in proportion to trust. This pacing is crucial. It protects her emotional energy and builds genuine connection. When conflict arises, she addresses behavior, not character. She does not attack, she describes. This keeps the conversation grounded in reality rather than ego. If the behavior continues, she does not repeat herself endlessly. She acts. Action is the final form of communication. Cation. She does not seek validation through male attention. Because of this, her words are not shaped by the need to be liked. They are shaped by truth. Authenticity is deeply attractive because it is rare. Most people speak to be accepted. She speaks to be aligned. A high-value woman also knows how to be warm. Strength does not mean coldness. Her warmth is intentional, not desperate. She can be playful, light, and open because she is secure. Security allows softness without weakness. She does not confuse emotional intensity with intimacy. She values peace over drama. Therefore, her communication de-escalates rather than inflames. She does not raise her voice to gain power, she lowers it. Calmness shifts control. She understands that the way she speaks teaches others how to speak to her. If she tolerates disrespectful tones, they continue. If she calmly stops them, they end. This is psychological conditioning through boundaries. A high-value woman does not explain her standards as a debate. They are simply facts of her life. She is not rigid, but she is clear. Flexibility without standards is chaos. Standards without rigidity is strength. She also allows men to be men. Why? Without trying to manage, fix, or control them. She speaks her truth and allows others to reveal themselves through choice. This detachment from outcome is powerful. It removes pressure and exposes authenticity. Her words come from a life that is full. Purpose, discipline, and self-respect are behind every sentence. That is why her communication feels grounded. You cannot fake this. Language always reveals inner order or inner chaos. A high-value woman does not chase clarity from someone who gives confusion. She does not analyze mixed signals endlessly. She responds to what is shown. This saves her energy and protects her dignity. She also knows that respect begins with self-talk. The way she speaks to herself shapes the way she speaks to others. Inner dialogue becomes outer dialogue. That is why her words are measured, kind, and firm. When she communicates, she is present. No phone, no distraction, no scattered energy. Presence is rare, and it makes every conversation deeper. People feel seen with her, not because she tries to make them feel special, but because she is actually there. She does not fear losing people who cannot meet her. She fears losing herself by compromising our values. This orientation changes everything about how she speaks, listens, and responds. Her communication is not a strategy to control men. It is an expression of self-mastery. And self-mastery is always felt, never announced. In the end, the psychological secret is simple but difficult. The way a high-value woman talks to men is a reflection of how deeply she respects herself, how disciplined her inner world is, and how willing she is to walk away from what does not align. And this is why her words land with clarity, calm authority, and unmistakable presence. A high-value woman communicates from inner discipline, not emotional reaction, and this discipline is built long before any conversation begins. It is developed in solitude, in daily routines, in the way she observes her thought, instead of being controlled by them. When she speaks, her words are not impulsive releases of emotion, but deliberate expressions of awareness. She understands that emotions are information, not commands. Because of this, she does not allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent statements. She pauses before responding, creating space between stimulus and response. And in that space, she chooses clarity over chaos. Most people speak to relieve emotional pressure. They talk to feel better, to be seen, to be validated. A high-value woman speaks to communicate truth. This is why her tone remains steady even in difficult conversations. She does not escalate because escalation weakens position. Raised voices, rushed explanations, and defensive language signal loss of control. She knows that he one who can remain calm holds the psychological advantage. Calmness is not passivity, it is precision. Inner discipline allows her to separate what she feels from what she expresses. She may feel disappointed, but she does not accuse. She may feel hurt, but she does not attack. She translates emotion into clear language. Instead of saying things she might regret, she names the situation a cure. This ability to regulate herself creates respect because people sense that she is not driven by instability. They feel safe in her presence, even when the conversation is serious. She also understands the power of silence. Silence is often uncomfortable for those who rely on noise to feel important. She does not rush to fill gaps with unnecessary words. When she pauses, it is intentional. It allows the other person to reflect, to reveal, to respond honestly. Silence is not weakness, it is confidence. It signals that she is not afraid of being misunderstood because she understands herself. A lack of inner discipline leads to over-explaining. Over-explaining is a subtle form of seeking approval. It is the attempt to control how one is perceived. A high-value woman does not need to control perception. She trusts that the right people will understand, and the wrong people are not her responsibility. Therefore, she explains once clearly. If clarity is still not met, she observes rather than repeats herself. She does not speak from urgency. Urgency often comes from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of conflict, fear of abandonment. Fear compresses language and makes it emotio. Inner discipline expands time. She does not need immediate resolution to feel secure. She is comfortable letting things unfold. This patience is deeply unsettling to those who are used to emotional reactions because it removes leverage. Her communication is rooted in self-awareness. She knows her triggers, her limits, and her values. Because she has studied herself, she is not easily provoked. When someone attempts to bait her emotionally, she notices the attempt instead of falling into it. Awareness dissolves manipulation. She does not need to defend herself against what does not touch her identity. A high-value woman also does not confuse honesty with emotional dumping. Saying everything one feels is not maturity. Choosing what is necessary to say is. Inner discipline teaches discernment. She asks herself whether her words will bring clarity or chaos. If the words serve only to release emotion, she processes them privately. If they serve truth and alignment, she speaks. This discipline extends to listening. While others interrupt, assume, and react, she listens fully, not to prepare a rebuttal, but to understand. Listening requires restraint. It requires the ability to tolerate discomfort without escaping into reaction. Because she can sit with discomfort, she hears what others miss. Tone, hesitation, contradictions, all become visible. She does not argue to dominate. Arguments are often battles of ego. She communicates to reveal reality. If reality is ignored, she does not push harder. She steps back. Withdrawal of energy is not avoidance, it is a conscious response to misalignment. She knows that not every situation deserves her voice. Her inner discipline is also reflected in consistency. She does not say one thing and tolerate another. Words and actions are aligned. This alignment creates credibility. People trust her because she is predictable in values, not in behavior. They know where she stands without her having to announce it, because she has mastered herself. She does not need to master others. Control is unnecessary when presence is strong. Her communication is not a tactic, it is a reflection. And reflection is powerful because it cannot be faked. Words backed by inner order carry weight naturally, without effort, without force, without the need to prove anything. A high-value woman uses clarity and boundaries as her primary language, because she understands that confusion is the birthplace of disrespect. When boundaries are vague, people test them. When communication is unclear, assumptions take over. She refuses to live in that space. Her words are simple, direct, and grounded in self-respect. She does not soften truth to avoid discomfort, nor does she sharpen it to create dominance. She chooses accuracy. Clarity begins why, the knowing what she will and will not tolerate. Many people speak in circles because they have not defined their standards internally. A high-value woman has done that work. She knows her values, her limits, and her non-negotiables. Because of this, her communication is not emotional or reactive. It is factual. Facts do not need decoration. They stand on their own. She does not negotiate her bound. Dares in moments of pressure. Pressure reveals preparation. When someone crosses a line, she does not wait until resentment builds. She addresses it early, calmly, and without apology. She does not say, "I'm sorry," but because she is not apologetic for respecting herself. She states what is acceptable and what is not, and then she observes behavior. Over-explaining is often mistaken for kindness, but it is usually fear disguised as politeness. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being disliked. A high-value woman does not carry this fear. She understands that those who respect her will appreciate clarity, and those who resist it are revealing misalignment. Therefore, she explains once. Repetition is unnecessary when boundaries are clear. Her no is clean. It is not followed by excuses, long stories, or emotional cushioning. A clean no is one of the strongest psychological signals of self-respect. It teaches others that access to a time, body, energy, and emotions is not automatic. It must be earned through respect and consistency. She also understands that boundaries are meaningless without action. Words alone do not establish respect. Consistency does. If a boundary is crossed repeatedly, she does not continue explaining it. She enforces it through distance, reduced access, or disengagement. This is not punishment, it is alignment. People learn more from what she tolerates than from what she says. A high-value woman addresses behavior, not identity. She does not say you are disrespectful. She says, this behavior does not work for me. This distinction is powerful. It keeps the conversation grounded in reality instead of triggering defensiveness. It also makes her boundaries harder to argue with, because they are about her standards, not someone else's character. She does not raise her voice to be taken seriously. Volume is often used to compensate for lack of clarity. Her calm tone signals confidence. It communicates that she is not seeking permission. She is stating a condition of access to her life. She does not threaten to leave as a negotiation tactic. Threats weaken boundaries. They reveal attachment to outcome. A high-value woman does not threaten, she chooses. If something consistently violates her standards, she removes herself without drama. This quiet, decisive SS is psychologically powerful because it cannot be manipulated. Clarity also means consistency in language. She does not send mixed signals. She does not say she is fine when she is not. She does not agree to things she resents later. Resentment is the residue of ignored boundaries. She eliminates it by being honest early. She understands that boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They not push people away. They reveal who belongs. Those who respect her clarity feel safe with her. Those who seek control, chaos, or entitlement feel restricted. This is how boundaries protect her energy without conflict. She does not confuse flexibility with self-betrayal. She can compromise where values are not violated. But when a core standard is crossed, she does not bend. Strength lies in knowing the difference. This discernment makes her communication stable and predictable. A high-value woman also respects others' boundaries. She does not pressure, guilt, or manipulate. Respect flows both ways. This mutual respect creates mature dynamics, not power struggles. She is not afraid of being called difficult, cold, or demanding. Labels do not move her. She knows that clarity often threatens those who benefit from ambiguity. She would rather be respected than liked. Her boundaries are not emotional reactions to specific people. They are principles she applies consistently. This removes personal drama from communication. It becomes about alignment, not conflict. When she speaks, there is no hidden message. What you hear is what she means. This transparency is rare and deeply grounding. It eliminates confusion and builds trust. Through clarity and boundaries, she communicates without control, without force, and without fear. Her presence teaches others how to treat her because she lives what she says and says what she lives. A high-value woman speaks from self-respect, not from fear of loss, and this single distinction changes the entire psychology of her communication. Fear of loss makes people small. It makes them tolerate inconsistency, explain disrespect, and negotiate their own dignity. When fear leads the conversation, words become desperate, emotional, and unclear. A high-value woman and has already confronted this fear within herself. She has accepted that loss is sometimes the price of self-respect, and she is willing to pay it because she is not afraid of being alone. She does not cling to connections that drain her.